Hello everybody, welcome to my 2000 subscriber special. Today I'm going to show off a new preset pack that I made. I'll give away some presets to celebrate hitting this other milestone. Kind of to celebrate, I also dressed up just like I did in the last time, and people said I should wear a party hat, so I did. It's a little bit of a weird one, but I hope it still does the job well. I'm sorry this is a little bit delayed. I know the channel has been growing immensely lately, but I couldn't foresee it growing so fast that I would have already been filming this in August. So it just kind of creeped up on me, and it caught me off by surprise seeing how fast we rose to 2,000 subscribers. So thank you all for that. Thank you for joining and just watching. The subscriber statistic on YouTube nowadays doesn't really mean that much anymore, as most people watch through recommended. But what I've seen is that I have one of the highest subscribers to non-subscriber ratios of any channel that I've seen so far. So that means that I have a very active subscriber base and a very active kind of community around my channel, which is amazing to see. So that statistic is kind of more important to me than the actual number on top of that, because it actually shows that you guys enjoy these videos and that you enjoy what I'm doing. So I really want to thank you for that, and I will continue making this kind of content as long as you guys support me and help me do that. But today we're going to go through my new preset pack for Serum, Projektor Psytrance Essentials Vol.2. Volume 1 has already been released almost a year ago now, I think. From the top of my head, I don't exactly know the date anymore, but I did release that a while ago. So I wanted to kind of do an updated version on that and kind of show you some of the cooler things that you can do in Serum for Psytrance. So without further ado, let's take a look at all the presets and some of the things you can do with them. Alright, so I'm just going to go through some of the presets that we have here. So this is the pack, as you can see. It's around 95 presets in there, and there's a few very cool ones, a few very specific ones where I just kind of wanted to show off some cool features. For example, here we have an ARP that uses octaves, which is a cool trick that you can use. This of course uses the Serum capability of modulating LFO points, and it has some glitchiness here. There's a lot that you can do with this, and this is nice to kind of add into a background as an extra ARP to add some depth to whatever you're working on. And obviously I was just playing one note here, you can also play multiple for some cool sounds. Here we have another ARP, which is kind of a glitchy ARP here. Each preset comes with 4 macros, which you can modulate for cool effects, and we have the glitch one, which is something I really like to add, so you can hear. Those are all kind of things that I like to add to my sounds, and having them hooked up to one button is very easy to work with. So those are some of the ARPs. Let's actually move on to some of the atmospheres that we have. I don't want to show you all the sounds, because I do want to give you the freedom to explore this pack as well and see what you can find and get inspired just by opening it up and playing with the sounds. So here we have some atmospheres. You can play with different octaves. By turning the octave down, you can get different sounds. Very creepy, kind of weird sounds here. So let's listen to another one. You have a stereo knob that allows you to control the amount of stereo width in a sound, which is very useful to make sure that it's mono compatible. And your amount of stereo might depend on how you're processing it later in either the mixing or the mastering stage. So that's why I like to have a stereo knob in there that just takes a sound from almost completely mono like this to a sound that is stereo. I think this might even be completely mono through use. Yeah, here you can see it's almost mono at the start, and then it's nice and wide when you turn up the stereo knob all the way. So that gives you these cool rumbly kind of feelings. You can also go lower like this. So some cool drony sounds here, so a nice dark atmosphere. Here we have another dark sound here. You can hear very creepy. You can kind of turn it up like that. Turning on the distortion obviously distorts it a lot here, so just be calm with that and just leave it like that. And you can play with it to get all kinds of cool sounds out of that as well. So let's move on to some of the bass lines that we have here. We have this aggressive clicker one here, which I really like. Very aggressive click, and it allows you to change kind of the tone of the click as well, and the amount of sub as well, which I did in a really cool way with this remap function here. And then we have a distortion. This is more useful if you want to layer this on top of your other bass line, together with this high-end control here. If you want a really nice click, what you can do is use these two lower ones to kind of shape the tone of your click sound, and then EQ out the bottom end, or edit it out with the harmonic editor here. So that's a very useful tool there, and it allows you to kind of layer it on top of that. That being said, there are also layer sounds in here, so you can actually get layer bass lines in here. Let's see if I can find one. Before that, I want to show off this one. This is the one from the Captain Hook song that I made. And it has a few different kind of tones to it. You have the phase knob here, which if you've watched the tutorial, you know is used to kind of align the phase with the kick. And with this particular bass line, that's very important. We have a tone control, we have an extra layer on top of that, and you can just play with that. And it's also nice to play with like the bass in terms of what melody you play. So with this one, it's very important to do stuff like octaves and that kind of thing, and also make sure that it sign chains really nicely, or that you're phase aligning it with this phase knob here. So this phase knob controls the phase of both oscillators, so you don't have to automate two things the same way. So this is just there for your convenience when actually phase aligning this particular bass line. So let's look up some of the layers that we have. I think it's actually written behind it. If I have, yeah, down here we have a few layers. With some noise, we have a nice little tone control here. Once again, kind of changes the color of the sound. And we have a sub that you can add if you want to. And this is just kind of, again, a nice stereo layer that you can add to your bassline just to make it sit in the mix a little bit better, make it a little bit more interesting than just a standard saw wave. So let's actually look at some other ones that we have. We have like an offbeat bass line here, if you're into that. You can play with the filter cutoff, open that up later and get some interesting sounds out of that. A little bit of tone there, some stereo. And we have this extra layer here. So that's a very versatile kind of offbeat bass sound. Next up, we'll look at some other sounds that we have. We have some drums here. I'll quickly go over all of these. We have some hi-hats, which are very simple. Nice little open hat volume and closed hat volume. And then you can set a glitch amount. And you can play with the reverb on that as well to kind of glue them together a little bit. So that really is a nice way to kind of get started with hi-hats, and you don't have to find samples that work well together. These two, the open hi-hat and the closed hi-hat, work well together, so they sound nice tonally. They have the same kind of tone, and with a little bit of EQ and processing, you can really get a nice sound out of that. Next, we have a very nice clap here, which you can do all kinds of things with. You can see it works a little bit as a percussion here as well. Kind of a flanger effect there. We have a simple kick, which is the kick that I've shown off on the tutorial as well, where you have a click amount where you can play with. We have some effects that just kind of changes the tone of it. You have a noise amount that you can add to add a little bit of extra high end, and then again the tone here to make it a bit more distorted if you want to. So this is a very important kind of way sample or an important preset in that it allows you to play a lot more with it. For example, here we have the click editor, kind of like what you would have in the plugin like Kick 2, and this just allows you to change the pitch and play with it that way, and that together with the actual amount allows you to come up with some cool click sounds for the transient of your kick drum. And then here we have volume control, so you can shape your kick the way you want to. If you want to make it into more of a like big room kick, you would do something like this. Let's add some noise. And if you want to change the noise volume, you can do that here. So LFO3 is controlling the transient of the noise, or how the noise sounds. And you can mix in the noise as well. And you can get very versatile kicks out of that. So next up we have a snare, which is just kind of a little bit of a loose snare here, but it's very useful nonetheless. It also comes with that cool glitchy reverb effect. And then I think this is the final drum sound that we have, is again based off the same preset kind of, but it's more of a thumpy kick. Now this is one of those kicks that you would use generally in like a breakdown, where you want that low end kind of wobbly kind of feeling to it, kind of like what Asterix does in the last break of Deep Jungle Walk. There's that kind of reverb kick below that. This is a preset that allows you to make those things. So you set up your click amount, and then you can soak it in reverb and change the tone of it and the noise again. So there's a lot of cool, interesting things that you can do here again to shape your kick sound. It's just a different approach, allowing you to put it in reverb and play with the reverb on the kick. Next up, I guess I'll go through some of the effects that are in this pack. So here you can kind of see one of the things that we see a lot in this pack, which is this control function. Anytime you see a macro that has a control function, that means that you kind of have to automate it before the sounds start to work. So you have stuff like this. So what I like to do is I always like to build in a reverb and a delay into a sound, especially when giving them away as a preset. So you can see I've already set this up here. Very basic in this case, because the basic settings kind of worked here. But what I like to do, if you want to put on your own reverb, I don't want you to have to go to the effects, turn those off and do all kinds of stuff. You just want to open it up, and it opens up without reverb and delay. And if you want to add the reverb and delay that I've provided, you can just open it up. And it comes with reverb and delay in that way. And now you can just automate the control here. To get some cool sounds out of that. But if you want to add your own reverb and delay, which is something I recommend often, you can just add it afterwards and it will also instantly work. So it gives you a lot of freedom with what kind of effects that you want to use. So let's go through some of the effects that we have. We'll have up or down here. So as you can see, there's a lot of interesting stuff in here and a lot of different kind of sounds that you would normally not get in sample packs. There's also a lot of useful stuff in here. So for example, we have effects like these where you can just quickly set up sweeps and stuff like that. So a lot of the pack is actually designed to just throw in the MIDI clip, automate 1 or 2 knobs and have a sound that can work really well as a background sound or an extra sound, maybe like risers, those kind of things, of which this resonant noise is a very good example. And it allows you to make very nice transitions, those kind of things. So the whole pack is kind of designed around the philosophy that everything should be very, very easy to use, as well as, you know, very complex if you want to. You can go in and edit anything you want. There's, it's all very clear what's happening. There isn't any weird tricks being used. There aren't any weird wavetables being used and that kind of thing. I try to stick to only using the wavetables that come with Ableton, but I have, or with Serum itself, but I have edited a few of them. But those should be included in the pack when you open up the preset itself. It should save it in the preset itself. So let's listen to some of the leads now. We have again, it's just meant for you to be able to instantly play it and play a cool melody if you have a cool melody for this one. I currently don't have my keyboard hooked up. The one you see right here isn't actually hooked up, so that's a facade. But if it was, I might be able to play a cool melody with that. With this kind of acid sound, you kind of have to play with it a little bit and get some cool sounds out of that. We have some FM things. Again, here we have a filter knob. Now the filter knob is not very important, but it's also kind of similar to a control one. So most of the time you want to automate this filter knob to get a cool result. It's a very aggressive sound here. If you're into kind of aggressive psytrance, then you can use this. You have a bandpass kind of deal, again with a filter knob and ambience if you want to. You have some things here as well. So as you can hear, a lot of cool lead sounds, very basic lead sounds, obviously. There's generally one control knob that kind of sets the tone and usually the filtering on those lead sounds. But they're very usable and you can just drop them in, play MIDI, and then they should work. So now let's listen to some pads that I have made. So this kind of comes with this analog drift control, which is very cool, where you kind of have this analog feeling of it not sounding in tune all the time. So here we have some custom wavetables, as you can see. And we have an ADSR here. You can hear another cool synth sound here with this very dark kind of feeling. That's very useful for like dark intros, whatever you want to do with it. Next up, let's listen to some of the plugs that I've made. This is also something that I really like to do and experiment with is these kind of plucky sounds, because they can really add to the background of your track a lot. If you have, for example, an Arp sound, you can use these. So you can hear that can really add to a track by just adding a little bit of extra almost punch to it by having an Arp with something like this in it. Alright, next up we'll look at some of the sequences that we have. The sequences are really, really cool, and I think this is really where the pack kind of shines. Stuff like this. Very easy to drop that in and have kind of a cool background element to your track already. And Again, you can play with all kinds of different things here. You might actually recognize this particular sequence from one of my tracks. I can't really remember which track it was, but I've probably shown this off on stream. Generally, most of the presets that come from this pack are something that I've previously used in the track, or the basic idea I've used in the track, and then I've adjusted it so that it had all 4 macros and nice labels, and that everything else was set up so it was the most usable possible, not just in my track, but in any track. So that's what I went for. I really wanted to take sounds from my own productions that I really like and that I was actually using in my track, and just give them to you in a way that they make them easily accessible. So stuff like these sequences, I'm sure people who watch the stream might have heard this one before in like a track that I've been working on over there as well. But there are more examples of stuff like that. For example, we looked at one of the effect sounds earlier. So this Cold FM one, I actually made this completely on stream right now when I'm filming this around a week ago, I think. So it's this one. And then later I went in and named all the macros and gave them proper destinations and stuff like that. But the core concept of this sound was made on stream. So finally, let's look at some of these synth sounds here that we have. Now, these synth sounds generally don't really fit in a category. I wouldn't call them lead sounds. I wouldn't call them like sequencers or stuff. They're just kind of extra cool sounds that are just not really fitting in any category there. So those are some of the sounds from this pack. If you want to download a free like demo version of this pack, then the link is going to be in the description down below. It's just going to be a media file download. I'm not going to put it behind an artist kind of an artist gate, what a lot of people like to do. I've thought about doing that just to kind of get more support, but I think in terms of support, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now. And there's also going to be a link to get the full pack, the full 94 sounds, I believe is the total, 94, 93, around that area. You can get the full pack down below. It's going to be $10 or up, so you can decide to pay me just $10, which is the minimum amount. But if you want to support me more and you like what I do and you say that you want to make a little bit of a donation, you can also decide to pay more than that, which I would really appreciate if you did. So this is going to be the preset pack that I'm going to be giving away partially. I'll now go ahead and choose the sounds that you can get for free, which will be around like 15 to maybe 17 sounds, something in that range. And that just allows you to easily see if you like the presets. You can evaluate the quality of those presets, and then you can buy the whole pack if you want to as well. But that's going to be it for today. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. Also, I will be posting another video today where I'll have a little bit of an announcement as well. And that's going to be very cool as well. So that's going to be later today. So if you see another video, go watch that as well, as we're going to go over another cool announcement in that video as well, which I think you guys will find very interesting. So it's a little bit of a longer video. I have to edit it down a little bit, but I see that I'm over half an hour of actual recording time. So if you're sticking here by, thank you very much. I really appreciate the people who actually watched till the end. And yeah, it's just amazing. And the amount of support I've been getting over these last 7 months or 8 months that I've been doing it, 7, I think. I started in February to really post on this channel, and right now we're at 2,000 subscribers. So that's amazing to see how fast the channel has been growing, and how supportive you guys have been all together. And yeah, it's just crazy to see how fast it goes. So I'm a little bit without words, but I want to thank you once again for subscribing and sticking around and making the channel what it is, because without you, it wouldn't be possible. Obviously, I wouldn't be sitting here anymore. So yeah, thank you all for that. Again, if you like the video, leave a like. If you want the sample pack, please just go download the free version down below. That's it should be very easy for you. It's just a Mediafire download, so it's going to be instant. So just make sure that you get that one. And if you really like it, then support me through purchasing it. But that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I see you next time. Bye bye.